Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guest Leslie Mesteth and Talon Bazille Ducheneaux from the Oglala Lakota Artspace, an arts facility on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in Kyle, South Dakota. Leslie serves as the Associate Director, and Talon is the manager of the Wicahpi Olowan Studio, which is located within the art space. During the program, we'll learn why and how the art space came about and how it's grown, developed, and operates today. We'll hear about the various programs, resources, and artistic opportunities that are available to a wide range of participants. And in the process, we'll come to better understand and appreciate the value and importance of the arts in maintaining and nurturing Indigenous traditions, promoting creativity and community, and supporting entrepreneurial efforts. Let's start by meeting our guest and then hearing all about the Oglala Lakota Artspace. Welcome. I'm so delighted you're both able to be here.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Jay. I'm excited to be here.
Terrific, terrific. You know, a couple of months ago, I had the good fortune to come across a wonderful article in the New York Times about the art space. Learned a lot, eager to hear more and have you inform viewers. But before we jump right to that, I also think it would be of interest if each of you would just briefly share a little bit more about your backgrounds, maybe professional or artistic interest, and what your current position entails. Leslie, would you please begin?
Sure. My name is Leslie Mesteth Clifford. My husband is Adam Clifford, and I'm raising my 2-year-old grandson, Josiah. My Lakota name is Wanaksha Lutawi, which means red flower woman. And I hold a master's degree in Lakota leadership and management from Oglala Lakota College, which is our local tribal college. I was the registrar at the college for 18 years. And I saw the building being built down here, and I decided to make a career change. I started with First People's Fund in December of 2021 as the program manager of the Oglala Lakota Artspace, and have since become the associate director, and we've hired a few more people to help with the building. I come from the Whitelands Teoshpaye, and we are descendants of the Wounded Knee Massacre. My mother is Marie Apple, and my father is Peter Mesteth, and I learned to sew and bead from my grandmother, Dora Apple.
Terrific. Thanks for sharing that. Talon, a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everyone. Hamadakyapi, my relatives. My name is Talon Bazille Ducheneaux. My Lakota Dakota name is Wakia Chante Wa Okia Wichasha, which means the thunders help his heart to help others. It was gifted to me by Wambli Chikla Toka Wichakte. Little Eagle kills the enemy is over in Eagle Butte, where my father's from. My father, Teton Ducheneaux, is from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, which is Lakota relatives over in central South Dakota. And on my mother's side, I am from the Crow Creek Sioux tribe as well in Fort Thompson, South Dakota, which is also central South Dakota, but is Dakota. So still part of the Ocheti Shakoi, but here on the Pine Ridge Reservation, I'm an ally and a guest, and really happy to be here. I went to school at the University of Pennsylvania, graduated in 2015 with a bachelor's in psychology, but all the while I had been utilizing music and creating music and being a part of music scenes and radio as a source of resilience and as a tool to keep going and survive, and dealing with problems, be it from the reservation or familial or those different things that ultimately stem from colonization, right? Using that to help me. But at the time, there really, to my knowledge, wasn't a lot of music therapy that was geared towards the type of music that I create, or that's cultural, within the cultural context that I come from. So I've worked within, education, trio, and other places within South Dakota and outside of South Dakota. But I became a First Peoples Fund Fellow with the Cultural Capital Fellowship in 2019. Supporting the work that I was doing in Crow Creek, recording other people in a free mobile studio, which resulted in some albums and a compilation album. So some years later, I was contacted again by First Peoples Fund as they were creating the OLA and wanting to partner with Playing for Change Foundation and creating a music program and studio. So my work here now is, maintaining the studio, getting people signed up, recording them myself, and then also helping engineer some of the songs, so mixing and mastering, production services, as well as promotion packaging and things like that. But then also we do other programming too that I help with, of open mics, and tonight we have a music mixer, which is really more like a live podcast, and just things like that.
Wonderful, very exciting, the range of things which we're going to be hearing about shortly. Leslie, you mentioned you saw the building being put up. Could you share some of the history and the initial mission for the art space?
So the building is located in Kyle, South Dakota, and it's across from the administrative offices of the college. And so it actually started in 2011. First Peoples Fund and the Artspace partnered with the Northwest Area Foundation, Colorado State University, and leveraging investments in creativity on the American Indian Creative Economy Market Study Project. So they started out with a study asking, it was a survey examining household economics, infrastructure needs, and social networks of Native artists. So First Peoples Fund is a national organization that helps Indigenous people across the United States, but they really wanted to focus here on the Pine Ridge Reservation and define the role of Native arts within reservation economies. Evaluate the effectiveness of support programs currently available for Native artists, and also identify challenges faced by Native artists and opportunities to better support them. So in 2013, the study came out. It was called Establishing a Creative Economy, Art as an Economic Engine in Native Communities. And it was published through the surveys gathered and found that artists identified 6 resources needed to become successful. And these include training, supplies, creative space, networks, markets, and credit and capital. And so then the partnership was developed with First Peoples Fund, the Artspace, and the Lakota Fund. So the First Peoples Fund does the programming, the space is provided by Artspace, and credit and capital is provided to artists through the Lakota Fund. And so all of these components here in the building help to support artists in their art and what they want to do as far as business goals.
Terrific, a true community effort for sure.
Yeah.
For those who continue, please.
The whole planning process, they had artists in the community, established artists like helping and planning through the whole building process. So there's some pieces here in the building that you see, the sculpture there in the front, the mural, the awning at the top holds the Morning Star song in Lakota. So when the sun shines down through there, you see the words on the sidewalk or the pavement there. So all of that was with Michaela Patton, Keith Braveheart, Marty Tubles, and Laylee Long Soldier.
Terrific, terrific. For those of us who haven't had the chance to visit yet, would you please share a little bit about how things are laid out before we are fortunate to look at some images of people participating?
The building on One side is sort of the training business side. So we have like a classroom, First Peoples Fund office, the credit fund, Lakota Credit Union, they have an office here, and the Lakota Fund. So we all work together to try to create sort of a network of support, I guess, for the artists. On the other side of the building, we have studios. There's 6 studios for the artists. They're all full right now. And then we have sort of a co-working space, a screen printing area, and then the recording studio, and then the performance space.
Terrific. Well, we're fortunate to have some wonderful images showing some of the contributors and what they've been creating.
This is an image of the watercolor class with Michaela Gosper. And so these are some of the techniques that she has shown the participants.
Terrific.
This is a bowl making class, traditional bowl making class. So he's actually taking those are the tendons and made a glue. And so you put those tendons on the back of the bow and it makes it stronger.
Fabulous.
That's Richard Gallego. And then this is the parfleche box making. So they use the hide, hardened hide, and they create these boxes and they paint them. And this is with Tiana Yellow Hair. The watercolor class again.
Nice. Nice.
This is the star quilt class. So she's showing people how to make the strips and create the star quilt. And this is with Carol Wilcox.
These are fabulous. Just these opportunities were not available for the community in general until the art space was created.
This is a tile mosaic class with Kaylin Davis, and this is one of our participants and her piece that she made. This is the screen printing. So Keith Braveheart, he is the faculty from Oglala Lakota College, and he's showing the technique of putting different color on the screen and then pushing it through, and so it comes out on the fabric.
Wonderful.
We also do beaded earrings with January Rose Mathis. So she came in and taught us how to bead earrings. This is the watercolor class again with Michaela as the instructor. She's standing there.
Nice.
This is the beaded earrings class. We have a lot of young people that come in with their grandmas or aunties, and they participate in the different classes also.
So it appeals to a wide range of ages and audiences.
Yeah, it's really like a sort of a intergenerational teachings, passing them on to the different generations. So
wonderful opportunity. And last one we have here.
This lady, the Carol Wilcox is here, and I can't remember her name. Moretta Champagne, she finished her quilt. So yeah, it was really awesome.
Nice, nice, nice. And are there people who have positions for longer times there? You mentioned the studios. How long do they get to occupy and have that as an opportunity?
The initial plan was to offer studio space to artists so they could rent them for 3 years. We would provide the Native American professional development training. We would provide sort of like the budgeting and marketing training pieces for artists, so they get sort of established as artists, and then they'd be able to sort of move out on their own and have those skills. So yeah, about 3 years they would be in the spaces.
I mean, you brought up another topic that we might have time to get to later, is the entrepreneurial business support that's also provided. But for now, before we come back to that, Talon, would you say a few words about the music program and the Wicahpi Olowan Studio that you're heavily involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. So the program has, a lot of facets to it, and it only seems like by the year we're growing those facets, which is really exciting because ultimately it just means more. As you'll see, one of the people that gives a testimony, Nina, it just opens up opportunities for artists to not only create but to grow like what they know in terms of how they share what they create, how they license what they create, how they package what they create. So, with the recording studio here, we have two rooms, actually three. One is a waiting room, if you will, with a lot of our like mic locker and other cabinets with like guitars and instruments and a lot of different interfaces now too. But one of our rooms is the engineering room, which is what I'm sitting in right now. We do a lot of vocal recording in here, as well as, just solo productions. We had Kat Clifford in here a couple of weeks ago working on a country slash traditional Lakota fusion album EP that he's writing into a screenplay. So we kind of vary in what and who we're able to give those services to. For some, they're creating an album. For some, they're creating a single. For some, they're just wanting to come in and meet with a producer to create beats. And we have a great team of Terrence Jade, Stella Standing Bear, and then we're even starting to teach other artists like Tiana Spotted Thunder how to work this equipment so that way they can continue recording those that like to go to them and who confide and trust in them. So you have Terrence Jade in here a lot, producing for other artists, recording them, and then helping give them his, wisdom that he has about, sharing music and getting yourself out there. With that, we have another room, which is like our band room. We have a drum set, electric and acoustic, different amps, and even like novelty instruments and record players that people can come in. And, I always tell people, you're welcome to book the studio just to, tinker with all the equipment we have here. I think one of the things that was very apparent from the beginning is that all of these reservations that we're talking about, including especially Pine Ridge, there's so much talent in them and a lot of creativity bursting at the seams. It's just a matter of creating access to things like a TLM 103 for people who record in hip hop production and even R&B and pop. They understand that a TLM 103 is an amazing microphone to have, and a carbon interface is amazing to have, and access to mixing and mastering is, crucial for an artist in terms of how they get themselves out there in the industry. So, for a lot of these artists, they're so busy dealing with all of these like everyday things that prevents them from being able to make those investments, or, so many of these resources have been in the city where you first have to create the budget to get to the city and stay in the city, and then the budget to record, and so on and so forth. So this is really like a nearby place for folks, even from Rapid City and other reservations, that they can come to and work on their material. We also have the garage stage, which we host, our open mics. We do a monthly jam session where the first hour is an open mic and the second hour is left open for an artist feature, where we invite artists, usually local, but also some that travel from North Dakota and other places. We have Stuart James coming in here this month and Cody Blackbird next month, where, they're open to just kind of do a more intimate experimental performance and think about things that maybe they want to try on stage in the future too. As well as just being accessible to other artists and having this as a hub where before you pretty much have to rely on the internet, whereas here you're able to see each other face to face and create collaboration opportunities. And so, yeah, and then along with that, so that's a lot of like contemporary as well as traditional support, but we also do a weekly drum circle and a bi-weekly Wicahpi circle. So Santi Witt, an artist who's used the studio a lot, he just put out his debut album late last year through the studio here. He hosts a weekly drum circle, and that's where we see a lot more of the intergenerational attendance and interaction as well, where you have, very, very young kids coming, and their mom or aunt is in the other room sewing, they're in there drumming with us, and there's their uncle and this other elder, more getting up there in age, and so it's just a whole kind of array. And then the same with the Wicahpi circle hosted by Tiana Spotted Thunder, who I mentioned earlier, where it's more of a safe space for women and young girls to come and learn about those teachings, and as well as, the singing components and all of that.
Incredible range of opportunities. We're fortunate to have a video clip of the studio area. And as we play it and enjoy it, feel free to offer any commentary.
Yeah, so for one, I know for a lot of musicians, we're so used to recording in our closets or going, like I said, all the way to an unknown city. It's so surreal to, walk into the art space and there's, community members sewing and connecting, and then you go into this back room where, we try to put as much acoustic foam as we can to avoid, affecting them, but we're able to do our thing as they do theirs. And as I said, folks like Stella and Terrence, they're able to bring in and help bring in, just a diverse array of rap artists and, acoustic guitar players and metal, players, and folks who are doing genres that, quite frankly, I don't even know how to describe or identify. A lot of the stuff that's exciting is coming out of here is really new and different. It's interesting how, we've had traditional music that's in English recorded here, and then contemporary music that's recorded in Lakota, and vice versa. So many different innovative ideas that get brought into the space. And then again, just having this access that we keep growing of, like, new monitors, new interfaces, new control surfaces that just help, not just with the sound quality and production, but then again, you think about the psyche of the community, through providing these things. I feel like we're making that statement to them of, like, hey, your art is worthy, your music is worthy, your culture is worthy enough for this, and for you to not have to travel for it, for you to come here and be home with it. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Wonderful. And I know, in addition to overseeing, being the coordinator and manager, you yourself, being rather modest here, are a very accomplished hip hop artist as well.
Thank you. Yes, I think that's a big part of it is, I love making my own music and putting myself out there, and, to have access to this myself is great. But on top of that, it just feels really nice to, I've done some of these things already, and I've experienced these things, some of these. And so to be able to, like, try to extend that to other artists and have that be my focus in my work is really, like, gratifying. And I really enjoy it, to just be around other artists and in some cases helping them while getting to do my own thing too.
Early you mentioned some of the appreciation the participants have had, and to highlight that, have a wonderful video clip here of somebody who's taken advantage and prospered from the studio. Let's take a listen.
Wicahpi, this is Nina. I'm a multi-award-winning Oglala Lakota singer-songwriter based on the res. And what the Wicahpi Olowan music program means to me is that it just means more inclusive opportunities for more of my people that have either come back to the res or have grown up on the res, to have an opportunity to really like make this a thing. I along with many of the people that are working a part of this program, are prime examples that you can do it from the res and really make some big, beautiful things happen that reach so many different people. And by doing that, providing those opportunities, providing transportation to get to the art space, so on and so forth, like it just makes everything easier when everything has always been stacked against us as Lakotas. So it's freedom, it's liberation, and it's healing overall.
Wonderful. And I know there are many, many others who would offer similar sentiments as well. Now, we have a few minutes left. Maybe just very briefly, Leslie, would you comment a little bit about the business opportunities or workshops or guidance that's provided?
First Peoples Fund developed a curriculum called the Native American Professional Development. And it really takes artists specifically through the artist statement. Like, who are you? What are your values and goals? Where do you see yourself? Like the whole planning piece of where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? And then laying out those steps to get there. And then it goes over like budgeting as far as, like selling your stuff or marketing yourself, and really takes you through that journey of, like even a headshot, how do you do a headshot, or how do you, all of these little things. And it kind of like just lays it out for them and gives them an idea of how to go through this process. And there's even a piece about the performing arts, how do you make a contract? How do you get the space? What is the sound? Like all of that, everything that kind of goes into being an artist or performance artist, like it takes you through that journey. And it really, the ones that have gone through it have said, like, wow, this really opened my eyes about, how to do this, and really gets them thinking, yes, I can do this, So it lays out the steps for them, and it gives them, I guess, that opportunity to go through it and really look at themselves and decide that, yes, I really want to do this. So.
Terrific. Just another wonderful resource. In closing, how can viewers and others stay informed and possibly get in touch about the art space?
We have the Oglala Lakota Artspace Facebook page. And so if you can follow us there. We also have, if you go to First Peoples Fund website, firstpeoplesfund.org. We have a piece on there where you can look at our events, our different things coming up. So
wonderful.
You can email me, Leslie at firstpeoplesfund.org.
Great, great. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our program. I want to thank both of you so much for taking the time to be here, for informing us big picture, all the opportunities that are available at the art space. And it's an incredible undertaking, accomplishment that I know is just sort of beginning and getting its wings and going further and further into the future. Look forward to following those developments. Continued success with future endeavors.
Yes, thank you. It's very exciting to be a part of.
Most definitely. Also want to thank those of you watching for joining us, and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.